One of the most talked about aspects of next generation was how Xbox was going to launch with a family of consoles. We've all heard the rumors that Xbox was going to launch the Xbox Series X, the most powerful console ever made, and launching alongside that powerful console would be the Lockhart, or what most are calling the Xbox Series S, which won't have the same power as the Series X, but will be a massive leap in the CPU and SSD department, but have the same graphical power as the current Xbox One X. It's a cheaper alternative to the extremely powerful Series X, a console made for someone casual that wants to join next generation at a far more affordable price. And while the rumors about this console have been circulating for a little while now, there's been a new article that comes out questioning if the console even exists. And this isn't some random opinion piece article. No, this is coming from Forbes, who is obviously a very reputable website. And the person writing the article does have a lot of insider information and also has a lot of say on the matter. So I wanted to dive into this article and give you information surrounding the ever elusive Xbox Series S and see if the Xbox is truly trying to launch two consoles next generation. So let's get into it. But like always, if you like the video, hit that subscribe button and that like button. The support is greatly appreciated. Alright, enough of that. Let's get into this article that questions if there truly is a Lockhart console. And I have to say, while I truly believe the Lockhart console was in development for years, and I think it is still coming out, I do have to say the arguments brought to the table by this article are very compelling. But first, let's see what the article says at the beginning when it talks about the Series S. Here's what the article has to say. There has been one persistently weird angle to the next console generation. The idea that Microsoft, in addition to making the Xbox Series X, is also making a second lower spec console codenamed the Xbox Lockhart. This rumor was sparked years ago when Microsoft started talking about a family of Xboxes and speaking about future consoles, plural, though that language eventually stopped. And then there's the obvious signifier that if we're getting a Series X, then we should be getting a Series something else too. Right off the bat, we know the article is talking about the Series S and how they've heard the same exact rumors we all have heard, which is Xbox wants to launch a family of devices that will help any type of gamer get their hands on an Xbox console, which in turn will make that active user an active Xbox ecosystem user. It's a solid strategy that not only targets the hardcore gamers, but to also target the casual gamer that might not want to spend a large amount of money on an extremely powerful Xbox Series X. But does this strategy of going after every gamer actually check out? That's what the article tries to talk about here. And yet the idea that Lockhart exists and is coming out this fall alongside the Series X is no longer something I can believe is actually happening. There are too many reasons why this idea does not make sense to me, and while sure I can buy that maybe it was considered, I do not think that is where we are heading this fall. That's a very bold statement for a person writing this article to say, because for a very long time, a lot of reputable insiders have talked about this console and have also said it will launch with the Series X, or even a little bit after the Series X launches. But he doesn't stop there. Instead, he gives several reasons why he thinks this console doesn't exist. Let's get into the first reason why. Microsoft officially revealed the Series X in December. It's now the beginning of June. We've heard quite literally nothing at all about anything resembling Xbox Lockhart from them during this time. While in contrast, they have not stopped talking about the virtues of the Xbox Series X. We are now under 6 months away from the launch of the Series X, and it makes very little sense to hide the existence of something like the Lockhart if it's also supposed to debut this November. Now, this is actually a very well put together argument because Xbox hasn't been quiet about this Series X and its marketing. Instead, they've been front and center and very transparent with their fans, and transparency is something they take a lot of pride in. They don't mince words, and their messaging for the next generation consoles has been very clear. To speak plainly, I actually agree with this argument. Xbox, I feel, would have talked about the console already, but there's one thing the person writing this article is forgetting about, which is the current global situation we're in. A lot of things have been turned upside down or postponed because of what's happening all over the world. So it doesn't surprise me in the slightest when I think about Xbox holding back a little bit on revealing the Xbox Lockhart, because timetables could have shifted, things could have been reworked, which is why I think the Lockhart hasn't been brought up yet. But now comes the next argument, which is a very solid one. Here's what else the article says. Microsoft has also gone out of its way to ensure that Xbox One owners are not left behind when this new generation launches. Even more than usual, in addition to the free upgrade, smart delivery system for gamers between generation, Microsoft is also promising forward compatibility for its first-party offerings for a while to come, where those Series X games should also be able to run on an Xbox One, albeit at a reduced capacity. If that exists as an option, then where exactly does a new console, Xbox Lockhart, fit in between current Xbox One models and the new Series X? Why does it need to exist at all? Now, this is something that a lot of people have talked about before. Why would I upgrade if I can use my Xbox One X? And while that's an amazing argument for the first 2 years of a new console generation, that doesn't hold water when you take in the massive upgrade to the CPU and the SSD that these new consoles will get. Those, alongside with the new architecture in the software, will be plenty of reason to upgrade. And if you're upgrading at $249 or $299 for a next generation system, why wouldn't you? That's a very favorable price and will have great value to a person wanting to upgrade. Not to mention, it will be far more future-proof than the current generation consoles we have. So while I like this argument, it still is something that doesn't hold water in my eyes. But let's move on to the next reason as to why he doesn't think the Series S doesn't exist. Here's what the article says. From a business and marketing standpoint, it would be immensely confusing for Microsoft to debut both a lower spec console and an ultra high spec console at the same time at launch this fall. Trying to explain the difference to consumers would be a nightmare, and by default, most people would just flock to the cheaper option, and a much smaller percentage would get to experience Microsoft's newfound huge power edge. It would make a lot more sense to price this Series X low, sell only one unit, try to undercut Sony, and then make up the difference with Game Pass, xCloud, and Xbox Live subscriptions. Now, this argument is amazingly well put. While I don't agree with the first part about confusing consumers, I do agree with undercutting Sony and making up that loss with the services provided. But first, let's talk about confusing people. That to me is a pretty shallow argument considering people buy 18 types of iPhones and 37 types of Android phones every single year. Not to mention different types of tablets, laptops, and computers. Everything involving tech has so many iterations that this argument is moot. Because I think if people can handle that many phones and all those other devices, they'll be able to handle two consoles and make a solid decision. One's more powerful than the other and more expensive. Bam, that's it, make a decision. But the next argument about undercutting Sony is something I have to agree with. I think the Xbox Series X has to come in at an equal or lower price than the PS5, especially since Xbox is launching a new generation with a lot of investment in their infrastructure. This to me is the single best argument I've seen from this article because it does hit home. I mean, we've had Phil Spencer himself talking about price being an extremely important part of a console's launch. I've had videos talking about the Xbox Series X's and the PS5's price points and how they'll be far more competitive this time around. And if the Series X comes in at $399 or equal to the PS5, where does that put the Lockhart with its price? Either way, I don't have an answer to this, but this argument is the only reason I could see the Xbox Series S not being real, or not launching. But the last argument is a little more fleshed out and something I've wondered myself. Here's what they had to say. But it also doesn't make sense for an Xbox Lockhart to debut later on either. When we get new consoles, they are upgrades, not downgrades. So you debut a cheaper console later, and then you have a portion of the Series X players annoyed they didn't wait to pay less money for a system that could play all the same games. Again, it's terrible positioning. Is there any way Xbox Lockhart makes sense? The only thing I could see happening is if Microsoft ends up immediately stopping production of Xbox Ones and One X's and replaces them all with Lockharts that are upgraded versions for around the same price, offering at least some of the features of the Series X without all the bells and whistles. And that's the new low end going forward instead of Xbox Ones, yet that still leaves 50+ million Xbox Ones out there that are going to need to be supported anyway. Now, this to me is the worst argument because we've seen Xbox trying to get rid of the Xbox One consoles for a little while now. They've gone on sale extremely fast, and I also don't know if they're still producing those consoles considering they have an amazing amount of them probably stored somewhere. So not only did he kind of take out his own argument here, but he also set a standard on what Xbox and Microsoft are probably thinking of doing, which is completely letting go of the Xbox One consoles and setting the Series X and S family of consoles as the new standard. Because I guarantee a lot of the people that will buy the Xbox Series X console are also the same people with the original Xbox One console, you know, the big VCR one. So their upgrade will be a massive upgrade and they'll instantly get amazing value from that console. All the while, the people that want high-end gaming and always want that standard to be raised will go with the Series X. You know, the people like me and most of the people watching who are hardcore and love gaming as their main hobby. So either way, I see great place for both the Series X and the Series S. Let's hope we start to hear soon what Xbox is doing and if they'll finally show the new Lockhart console this summer, along with the price of both consoles, because I have to say, I want to see what the Series S looks like and I want to see what Xbox's strategy is coming next generation. Not to mention, give me those prices so I could finally pre-order them. But enough about what I think about all of this. Tell me what you think about all of this. Do you think the Xbox Series S exists? Is the Xbox Series X a console you would want more than the S? Do you think Xbox should undercut Sony's PS5? Do you agree with the article's arguments? Do you think the Series S will be announced this summer? What price do you see both consoles coming in at? What console appeals to you the most? Go down below and let me know. And I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please hit that subscribe button and that like button. The support helps out the channel more than you know. And give me a follow on Twitter at Zalker87. I'm always on there talking games and sharing my latest videos. Plus, I love interacting with everyone there. So get on Twitter and let's talk about gaming. Also, follow me on Xbox Live. My gamer tag is Zalker87, just like my channel name. See what games I'm playing and let's compete in achievements for the month. Currently, I'm playing Minecraft Dungeons. I'm having a lot of fun with the game. I want to get through it, but I'm also playing The Last of Us, which is on my PS4 Pro. I'm having a lot of fun with that game. It's extremely slow and extremely intense, but the game is very well made. I can't wait to jump into The Last of Us 2. The hands-on just came out and a bunch of people are saying it's a great game. And that's all for now. Thanks for watching, and until next time, remember, enjoy your gaming. Later.